I'm sitting here in Amman, Jordan, at the end of the year 2019 with someone whose impact on the Arabology show cannot be denied. Rania Kurdi, you were one of my very first interviews on the Arabology show, and here we are years later sitting in Amman. Welcome back to Arabology.
Hi, Ramzi. I'm so happy to be here. I can't compete with your lovely low, sexy tones. I'll try.
Yes. Well, that's a typical response from Rania Kurdi, who always finds a way to make people feel better through laughter, through empowerment, through so many things you're doing. But that this is intended as a continuation.
Part two,
because mashallah, you have been quite busy. So Rania, I want to start with what you've done since our first interview. And one of the things that comes to mind is the song, now correct me if I'm mispronouncing, Wislat?
Yeah.
Wislat, which means what?
It means message received. I mean, that's how I'd like it to be understood.
And it's in the Jordanian dialect.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a very interesting video and song. Is it rap? Is it sarcasm? Is it...
Okay. It is rap and it is sarcasm. And I could kind of say it's like Eminem being Slim Shady. You know, I find a way to say what it is I want about society or about the Arab pop scene through song and through sarcasm. So already in the show, the Rania show, I had one of the characters be a pop star or a wannabe pop star, you know, who actually was talentless but was relying on just skimpy clothing and lots of plastic surgery.
We're talking about Sasha.
We're talking about Sasha Abinajme and her song Ana, 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 which means me, me, me.
And what better title for her?
Yeah.
Because it's all about her. I mean, you revived her, a character we loved on the Rania show. Mm-hmm. As part of this music video rap. Tell me with who, tell me how it happened.
So I felt like I hadn't finished my story with Sasha, that I needed to drive that message a bit clearer. Just because the younger generation are really following in the steps of, like, you know, the Kim Kardashians, and it's all about looks, it's all about Instagram likes, it's all about the shallow side to it, which is causing a lot of mental health issues and depression. So Sasha Abinajme is a character that I created that's a wannabe Arab pop star, but she's actually talentless and reliant on just, you know, very flimsy clothing. Is that a very British word? I don't know.
No, we use that in the States.
Oh, okay. And plastic surgery and that kind of fake girliness, stupidity kind of persona in order to succeed. And sadly, actually, that is what succeeds at the moment, because I have played Sasha in society and performed as her and been out in public as her just to test it out before I actually came out with the character in the Rania show. And she gets a lot more attention than I do.
Yeah, but I mean, this is such an interesting commentary because people bought it.
Yes.
They thought you were real because that you were a real person.
Yeah.
And while the joke was on them, because later when they found out it was Rania Kurdi in disguise.
For me, it's more a message to the youth. I don't want them to be fooled so much that this is what brings happiness, that it's fame. You know, fame is everything, or beauty and that surface, you know, being liked on Instagram or having a huge following. That actually brings you happiness, because everybody nowadays is just faking it and using beauty filters and feeling very, very self-conscious. And it's leading to a lot of mental health and depression. So, you know, I really wanted to drive that message home, that if people didn't really get that through the comedy, I thought a rap song where I can be angry about it and I can play Sasha in it would really show and be clear. And my daughter played the role of the young girl who's influenced by these pop characters and who wants to be like them. And then she's then inspired by the rapper and feels like, you know, I kind of feel empowered by the rapper who's athletic and boxes and, you know, and changes course at the end of the video.
And who was the video with?
It was featuring Amir Tahir, who is a Jordanian rapper. And I've always thought, you know, he has a lot of talent and he doesn't get the exposure like nearly all of us here in Jordan. You know, it's really difficult. Yeah. And I thought it'd be nice for him to be in a music video as well. He'd never done that. He'd done a lot of live shows. And I trusted that he could write me a rap about the subject that I wanted and teach me how to do it as well, because it's really not easy. So
Right.
rap isn't my thing, but I also like a challenge of, this isn't my thing, haven't done this before, want to do it.
فنان جديد للجيل عمل مكلف كتير مفعوله ما بيفيد مضمونه ما بيفيد غير تردد القناة حط على التلفزيون جديد الراعي بطل خرب عليك الفيديو كليب الفن رسالة كل فنان بيجيبك في تريب بليز فيك تعطيني ضوء تعرف التوناليتي
توناليتي
وهذا مش شعار جمعية لتوعية السميعة نص الأغاني رديئة وإحنا للأضواء بليعة لحن مسروق اسم أوروبي ولا شيء على الطبيعة الصوت ملعوب بالخد منفوخ العين والسيعة شركة إنتاج إذا الألبوم ما باع بتبيعها أضواء والمسرح وقت الحفلة مش عارفة ليش ضاوية والخشبة بتحمل أي حدا طالما جمهوره راضي كل ما لمينا النقط على الحروف بتفلك دير بالك حتى من الأعمال اللي بتتوجه لطفلك
وصل الحال لحد عن جد بسمعش جديد من اي حد لا طريقة سرد ولا محتوى ومش كله بغني من القلب وهاي رسالة ما بستنى منها رد ولما حريتك جوا بيتي بتخلص هون حرية الفرد
صار بهالكلام تلحين صار تحفظوا ورا تعيد الفن من فعاليات المساء جابوا لك البث افرح من الواضح انه ما خلوا لك للابداع مطرح لو نفسك بالشهرة ما بدي خفف من حماسك بس عن جد ملينا نسمع فنانات بلاسيك يلي حبك نار تعبير مجازي من مزاجي بنصح هذا النوع من الفنانات تاخد إجازة لو سرقوا لحن وأقنع ضربوا سمع سوق انحرق وولع وتر مقطع كلمات مش فاهمين منها مقطع لو الرقابة تنسى مرة تراقب مرة محاولات كتيرة بدهم الإيحاء من برا بس زي كل مرة من برا خد فن بديل للجيل يلف فيك المجرة
الحال لحد عن جد بسمعش جديد من اي حد لا طريقة سرد ولا محتوى ومش كله بغني من القلب وهاي رسالة ما بستنى منها رد ولما حريتك جوا بيتي بتخلص هون حرية الفرد.
We're back right here on the Arabology show with the one and only Rania Kurdi. بالعربي رانيا الكردي, بالإنجليزي رانيا كردي no L.
Yeah, I find Kurdi is just easier either way, really.
Yeah.
This whole al-il that everybody has just complicates it.
I hear, yeah, something or a
Oh,
something.
and in Lebanon, I'm Kurdi.
Kirde.
الكردي.
Kirde.
Yeah.
Habibti. So I want to talk a little bit about your film and TV career, because as we all know, Rania Kurdi is not easy to define. And whether we want to talk about the comedy, we want to talk about the music career, or we're going to talk about the film career, you're managing to do a little bit of everything still.
And be full-time mom,
Yeah.
single mom,
Right,
with the kids.
2 kids.
Yeah.
Mashallah, mashallah. You're now in England, Rania.
Yes,
Sheikh,
yes.
and-
So
and-
there's a lot that I had to turn down or a lot that I don't do. And, you know, what I've managed in between, thank goodness, is usually something I'm happy with or quality or worth having taken the time to do.
And one of those, I think, is the movie Daphne.
Yeah, Daphne was a great experience, and it didn't require a lot of days of filming from me. But it was a beautiful couple of scenes that I was in at the end of the movie. But what's interesting is, you know, I knew that there were big names in the movie, and I was really excited to work with Emily Beecham.
And Geraldine Jones.
And Geraldine Jones. Unfortunately, I don't have a scene with Geraldine, but, you know,
Yeah, but
I did
she's
with
in the
Emily.
film,
She's
right.
in the film. And it's a beautiful story, but when you have a smaller part, you don't actually get the full script. So I was just told by the director, who's Scottish, a general idea of the story, and I didn't really understand where my scene fit in, like how it made sense to the whole movie. So
Right.
when we went to see the screening of it, I was blown away that our scene, me and the husband in the film, is like the whole crux of the whole idea of the film, because
Oh,
you know,
really?
yeah, she's somebody who's really struggling in her 30s with her life, and she's really unhappy, and you can see how she really sabotages herself and her career as a
She's the Sudanese character.
no. Yeah, I am the
Yeah,
Sudanese
well,
character.
yeah. Sorry,
but
you.
I mean, Emily Beecham is lost in life, and it's something that happens to do with us. And when she comes to our house and she's, you know, welcomed into the family, that changes things for her, that finally gives her that kind of happiness and closure. So it was really lovely then to understand where it comes in the film. But you could be, negatively surprised. I mean, you could turn up at a thing and go, oh my God, what have I been involved in?
But I mean, Daphne's available, I think, on Amazon Prime. We can watch it.
Yeah.
And now knowing that, the background, I think when I see your scene, I intend to watch this right away.
So I had to do a Sudanese accent. I really didn't expect to get the part of a Sudanese.
But then, I mean, that doesn't surprise me, the fact that you're able to, capture accents and mimic, and it just comes so naturally to you, Rania. I mean, is this something that you've always had, like since school, let's say, since childhood, the ability to just transform into different personalities?
Yes, I think I was a real people's watcher, and I would take in details of what made people that character, their movements, their voice, the accents, and enjoyed doing that, probably because I was bored and an only child. I had to entertain myself somehow.
This was in Jordan
yes.
At the time?
Yeah.
And that, of course, led to the Rania show and the many, many iconic characters that you've created. I remember walking with you a few months ago in the streets of Amman. People were telling you who their favorite character is. Sasha seems to be resurfacing a lot.
Yes. Well, Sasha's more the message. The other ones are like archetypes that are, in our society. But the message isn't, as deep as Sasha's for me anyway. But what is so nice is seeing how many people enjoy imitating them still. I mean, it's been 7 years since that show.
Wow.
And I still daily receive on my Instagram videos with people with filters playing them, doing the voices. They understand what that character would say. And only yesterday, a fan I have who's in LA, I said to him, listen, you do Ibtisam, who's Arwa's friend, so well. Do you want us?
The one who she talks to on the other side
I talk on the phone.
Of the webcam,
yes,
right?
Yeah. So I was like, you want to be Ibtisam? And he's like, yeah. So we did an Ibtisam Arwa yesterday.
Wow.
I videoed myself and I put him on loudspeaker. Now everyone wants to know who he is. And then another girl wrote to me and said, can I please do Olga with your Olla? I do the accent. So I think I've started let's do a sketch with a fan at the moment on my Instagram.
And you've been so generous in terms of your time and in terms of your kindness towards your fans. In fact, I remember, didn't you make a video that included, of highlights from different fans around the world playing different characters?
Yeah, when I had Snapchat, that was the biggest joy, was seeing everybody that was imitating, sending me videos. And then I thought, there's so many and people need to see them. I'm going to do a compilation. And I was actually asked in Cambridge to give a talk at Cam Creative. It's about any creative topics. And they wanted me to explain how I was managing to use Snapchat as a vehicle to do comedy sketches. So you were only allowed to film for 10 seconds at a time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I would literally do 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, as if I was a director that would take a shot from here, a long shot from there, a middle, over shoulder, whatever. And I would include people in my day-to-day life, and I would improvise, and it would just have a beginning, middle, and an end all by itself somehow. I went to Camp Creative to give the talk, but the most powerful part of the talk was them and their reaction to seeing Arabs having fun and seeing the fans that made the videos, especially the guys. The guys just being silly, dressing up as females, having a laugh, doing my voice. They were blown away. They said, we've never seen Arabs in this light, So to see them really just enjoy themselves and be so cute was
But you're not using the Snapchat platform now.
No, so now I've switched to Instagram, which is Kurdi Rania.
I mean, in terms of each of these characters, which one do you feel you get the most sort of recognition for, or the most poignant in terms of the way it has affected Jordanian society?
Everyone has a different favorite, but the ones I'm asked for the most are Ghalia, who's the lady of society. And I think in any culture, people love having a dig at the lady of society who's shamed or shown up for, you know, her fakeness. So in England, there's a Mrs. Bouquet.
Right.
Yeah, who's actually a Mrs.
Keeping
Bucket.
up appearances,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
She's Bucket, but she pronounces it Bouquet.
Yeah, so I think every culture has one of them, and we
Rania is
always,
that.
she is that. So everybody knows somebody who's like that and can't stand it and would love to say to their face. So I think she's like, you know, the punch bag that everybody enjoys seeing. But I've managed, which I'm glad, is to show that kind of side of her that is desperate to be something that she isn't, that you can pity her and have some empathy as well.
Yes, I could see
Yeah.
that too. But there is such an overpowering annoyance in that vibration of her voice that
Yes,
reminds us
yes.
of so many women of
Yeah.
society that we've grown up with.
And I couldn't decide at the time, did I want a high pitch or did I want that lower kind of smoker tone, you know? Because these middle-aged women of that.
It's got that sort of piercing quality.
Yeah, so she's like this. It's all very airy, you know?
when she calls her husband.
Yeah. Awesome! Yeah, so that's Ghalia. And Arwa is the secretary, the flirt that's desperate to find a husband. And that's the only reason she's working in a doctor's clinic, you know. And so
With
many
the makeup
doctors.
and I mean, she wears a hijab, but it's always...
Yeah,
you know,
she's
so-
revealing more than
Aywa.
what she should. And people like her because she really is in every doctor's clinic. I don't know what it is about doctor's clinic, but they think that's a good place to find a man.
Yeah.
And every doctor I've been to always is complaining to me about their secretary. You know, oh, we haven't got one at the moment because she found a husband and she's left. Now we're looking for the next one. Always. So
Oh, wow.
I think because she's so real, Arwa is a favorite.
Arwa is a favorite of mine, I
Yeah.
have to tell you. And the way she just flirts shamelessly, you know, while trying... I can't believe I'm sitting with Rania Kurdi as we talk about these beloved characters that 7 years later are still, you know, in people's memories and continuing on. I want to go back a little bit to your TV career because I know something about a show called Doctors.
Oh, yeah.
In the UK, and I guess Rania Kurdi, who manages to pop up in unexpected places, had a role on that show. Could you tell me a little bit about the show?
That's a BBC daytime TV
Okay.
kind of housewives show where it's kind of ER but a bit more
Like soap
laid
opera?
back.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a
okay.
bit soap opera-ish. And it's always fun to have a part on Doctors, and you film 2 days in Birmingham, and it was a really good.
Was it something you auditioned for or something?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And what was the role? Can you tell me? 'Cause this is hilarious.
She's a Saudi Arabian, very rich woman, but depressed and living kind of in this empty mansion where her husband always cheated on her. Actually, her husband turns out to be gay and he's never around. Yeah. She has a young girl that's house help, but illegally. So she's kind of got her down in the cellar that lives there. And, you know, they don't know about her in England. But she slaps her one day, being drunk.
Who slaps who?
I slap her,
Okay.
and she gets revenge and pushes me down the stairs. So I have a big, dramatic Falcon Crest, Dallas kind of death.
That's what I heard about. Does it
Yes, this long, because I had to do the voiceover of they're like, can you give us a couple of screams before you go, you know? So I gave them a big one, a small one, a short one, a long one, and they used them all. I didn't expect them to use all of them. So this never-ending tumbling down the stairs. And what was funny as well is because in England it's all health and safety, you know, we don't do any stunts that are dangerous, and we have a mattress and we have a double and we have this and we have that.
And you did it yourself, the whole
Yes.
fall.
Well, it's not a whole fall, but I had to let go of the banister and throw myself onto the guy behind me. And I was like, yeah, because we're so used to doing everything here.
We're tough.
Before he was even ready, I just threw myself, and the guy went, wait, no. You know, they really panicked.
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny. But
And you end up dead.
I end up dead, and there's this horrible big close-up on my armpit. I'm in this beautiful dress, great makeup and hair, and then they take a close-up of my
I
armpit.
mean, it sounds like the part written for you. That's what I'm saying. Did you audition or did they come to you?
Well,
Because
they called me
Saudi
through.
and Arabi.
Yeah, they called me through my agent. Actually, I think I got the part without auditioning.
Yeah,
Probably, I
yeah.
can't really remember for that one.
And so that is Doctors, which airs on TV.
BBC. Yeah, I just got paid for a repeat in Wales, so
Oh,
obviously
wow.
it plays every now and again.
Tayyib, when I come back, Rania, I would love to talk to you a little bit about the one-woman show, including a very maybe serious side to Rania Kurdi.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that when we come back.
شايف نفسك برضو شايفة نفسي وهوريك يا قاسي نفسي واعمل كل شيء في نفسي جالك يوم عرفت اني قدك ولا خفت مني قرب ليه بعدت عني شايف نفسك برضو شايفة نفسي وهوريك يا قاسي نفسي واعمل كل شيء في نفسي.
So we're back with the Arabology show here, and I have the pleasure of sitting here at the end of December 2019 with Rania Kurdi, who has been so gracious with us through the years, always sharing her news and her music and her talent and her humor with our Arabology listeners. And in a way, Rania, I mean, you're bringing a slice of Jordanian society to an unfamiliar audience, meaning people in the U.S. who don't really understand what it's like to live in Amman, the different classes, the different religions, the different mentalities, and they all, you're representing them all. Any plans to subtitle the Rania show?
Yes.
Because I think that would
yeah.
really, it would function as a great vehicle to introduction to certain stereotypical, if you want to say, Jordanian personalities and characters.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the humor, though, is also in the accent, which will be missed, I think, even if it's subtitled. But
And
it
the
will still
wordplay.
have some, the
Yeah.
the wordplay. But
I have to tell you, I played one of the Rania shows in class, and it didn't have subtitles, but it was, for
Yes.
American students who were learning Arabic, and it was, they had a year. They got it. I mean, I think it was the show where Arwa was welcoming a guy to the clinic, and he was so obviously gay, and she was still trying. I was telling her, I'll go shopping with you, and she was still doing it. And they got it, and they were able to relate to it in terms of,
you see, but then they'll miss the joke at the end where her friend tells her, "Marry him anyway." لما بتجوز بشد. But what does that mean in English?
How are we going to translate
I
that?
don't know. It's not he'll toughen up, but it's kind of like
Right,
he'll tighten up. He'll tighten up.
Man up.
He'll man up. Yeah.
Or
Like
not.
she always gives her advice that there's an excuse, they'll be fine after marriage, just marry them, the old guys, the twins, the teenager, they'll all be fine.
Well, let's turn to the one woman show that we're talking about. I know this is in development, and this is something that you've been thinking about for a long time in terms of what would be the best vehicle to get this out there. Stand-up comedy, inspirational talk, a sort of motivational speech. Where are you in terms of thinking about the show now?
Yeah. Well, in the past, I really thought about doing stand-up comedy, and a lot of people suggested that I do it after the sketches were liked so much and people asked me to do these characters. And I've got so many other characters as well that I do now and again on YouTube or Snapchat or Instagram in English as well. So I thought that, it might be a nice way to bring them all together and be able to tour and reach, other audiences and be in theatres, which would be nice, because I am a theatre actress and I do like that atmosphere. But there was always something that just didn't settle or feel right for me to do stand-up. And I couldn't really put my finger on it. But after I trained as a coach, and I've had a lot of therapy and I've been coached and with energy and EFT and CBT, I've tried the lot of regression, hypnosis. I love it. I've always been interested in it. I took lots of workshops in different things, but I never actually trained to be one. So I finally did that, got that off my bucket list. Wow. And I'm now coaching people one-to-one. and feel that that whole stand-up comedy is beginning to make sense to me now, why I didn't want to do stand-up. Because there's something self-deprecating about it. You're telling people only the parts that's going to make them laugh of something that might have been very painful or depressing for you.
Right.
And so you're kind of missing out the bits and giving them the full story so that they have a good old time, while really you're like stabbing and not being kind to yourself.
Right, at your expense.
Yeah, and then I watched a stand-up comedian.
Was it Hannah?
Hannah, yes, Hannah Gatsby.
It was
I
called
think.
Nanette, I think.
Yeah. So I realized that that was what was stopping me from doing that. And now that I'm really excited and passionate about giving motivational talks, and I have been giving them to empower other women or people in general to hear my story and my struggles. And I'm very transparent about that because, you know, it might seem like everything has gone so well and so easy.
From the outside.
Yeah. But they don't really know why I don't continue with things. You know, like this program was a big hit, but you know, everyone's saying we want part 2, we want part 3. Why aren't you doing it? Because I can't do it. You know, I don't have the production. I don't have the support from Jordan. So there's so many things that are difficult and upsetting that happens behind the scenes that make you not able to continue. You know, it took 3 years of me struggling to get that done. And then when it did get done, it wasn't done the way I had hoped. And the way that it was aired, not all together as 5 characters in each episode, because for them, they dragging
really?
it out. Yeah, so they play 2.5 minutes per day in Ramadan.
Oh.
So nobody understood what on earth I was doing or what it was about. So I got really negative feedback the first year.
It's different when we watch it online.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's a playlist and you can watch each character like entirely, or you can jump around.
So then you understand the flow, you understand.
I didn't know this, that they aired it.
So it took years for people to actually appreciate it and understand it. And so if I bring my humor, my characters into explaining my story in a TED Talk, it will kind of feel like a stand-up comedy, but it'll have purpose.
And it will be motivational. And
yes.
Also, I think one of the things you're very interested in, and I'm so proud of you, is you continue to try to empower women. Can you tell me a little bit more about this balance in terms of of comedy and empowerment?
Mm-hmm. You know, I know what it's like to be objectified and to not be seen for your talents and given the chances that you deserve, perhaps, in this business. But we kind of just accept it as women because that's just how it is. And I think I didn't even see it for what it was before the whole Me Too came out. And even when that did, I still was like, yeah, what are they talking about? You know,
You didn't relate right away.
No, it was
because,
through a lot
we're
of...
talking about, back to the superstar days, to the image, I think, that they were trying to, make of you. That you were not comfortable with. You know, they wanted you to sing these passionate Egyptian love songs, which you did beautifully, by the way.
Thank you.
but it wasn't necessarily what you wanted.
Yes.
That wasn't necessarily the direction you wanted to go.
But also the other pressures, of who the management was or who was paying the money and what they wanted from you in return and what I wasn't willing to do would always stunt how far I could move forward. So people would say, well, it was really successful. Why didn't you continue? And it's not the sort of thing you can say, well, because so-and-so was sexually harassing me, and even family members don't really want to hear that because they're seeing you be so successful and they're kind of loving the limelight themselves.
And that's sort of a universal thing in terms of the Me Too movement. But in your case, I think you're one of the first Arab women to talk about that in terms of the industry here, because we know that it's rampant.
And the industry here, I think, is far worse.
But no one talks about it,
the stories that I've heard
the women
were
are
shocking.
This is something you would actually broach in your TED Talk.
Yeah, and now that I'm coaching, it's shocking that I have not spoken to one woman that has not had some sexual harassment from a young age.
Are you talking,
including myself?
All in England, in Jordan?
Yes. It's not just...
There is this commonality, sadly, where, the East, West, the concept of this... objectification of this kind of, even rape in some cases ends up being... And
it's not what we always imagine it to be, like this scary attack, which is how we think of it. I had been groomed from age 13 to 18, and have only just realized last year that that's what it was.
Wow.
I thought it was a loving relationship with a bit of a narcissist psycho, you know? That's as far as I'd reached with it until I actually thought, oh my God, how we can change the story, block some things just because maybe it's uncomfortable, or we've lied to ourselves or been lied to for so long that we've believed it.
Yeah.
And so now that I've helped other people have those aha moments, and we can realize how we think it wasn't traumatic, but it's affected every decision we've made or every bad relationship we've had is because of something way back. I mean, that's what's good about being a public figure, is that I feel that I can help in some way or speak up for some people as well. I have a lot of LGBTQ that approach me as well, that feel that I would understand. I don't know how they get that vibe from my characters or from what I do, but a lot of people that I coach are, had to leave the country, have problems, are in a marriage they don't want to be in, and they reach out to me.
So it's not just women's empowerment, it's marginalized sexualities in general.
It's kind of, if you don't fit in the mold and you don't do and say what everyone else does, in a small culture like this, then you are rejected. And it's very hard to be unique and be yourself. You've got to be really, really confident to be able to do that. But then the Rania show,
by poking fun of these same characters who have, in a way, oppressed minorities and oppressed, and had been so, either self-centered or whatever. It's no wonder that you're going to get, marginalized sexualities coming up to you, people of different, levels of being oppressed. And in the Arab world, feel comfortable because these characters are not being hailed as heroes.
What's beautiful is they are comfortable to send me videos of them playing my characters, and then they're comfortable for me to share them because I check with them, you sure you want to share this? And they're like, yeah, with full-on beard and a headscarf or whatever, they're okay with it. And then when I share it, I like that my Instagram actually is not huge. It's people that really are following me. It's not just followers. I don't. So I have a connection with most of them. They are also very accepting and love when the guys, post these videos, and they really get excited and laugh. And they don't.
People of all ages and nationalities. I mean, we're not just. I mean, the way we've been talking now, Rania, is very different, I think, than the way we were talking when we did our first interview years
ago.
That was such a jolly interview and such a fun interview we did.
Well, I think we've met in person since. So.
Well, not only that, but also the fact that you're now in a stage of your life where you're trying to have more of an impact, a direct impact on certain topics that people didn't want to talk about. And here I want, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you about this Lebanese show you were on. Because I know once you told me, you always get the typical questions and everybody wants you to be jolly, do your job on the interview and leave the studio. But in this case, you actually found that the questions were quite profound and in Arabic.
Yes.
Was the show Ma aw Did?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell me about that experience?
So it's with or against, where you're asked really serious questions, and they even bring like a psychiatrist on to talk about, whatever the topic is. And the topic was about stardom and leaving the limelight. How can you possibly do it? And what are the fears of it? And how did you accomplish doing it? And then they brought two younger guests who, one had a bit of stardom in one of these reality TV shows, and one who left and stopped doing it because she felt it affected her, and now she's a travel agent. And another guy who's desperate. He is doing anything to just be famous, singing some really bad songs in a shower, in Egypt, doing anything to be famous. And so she questions them, and then they talk to me about how did I find the balance to keep going away and coming back? What is it that makes me keep out of the limelight? For me, there's a recharge. I usually come back excited and creative with a new idea. That's usually risk-taking, because it's completely different than maybe how people have seen me before. But at least it's something I'm passionate about. It's not me stuck in the same job that I know it works, it's safe, and I stay in the same program for 5-6 years, putting up with things that maybe, I don't want to put up with. And it's not worth it for my own happiness or health. So, if I feel that I'm repressed or subjugated to things that I don't agree with and I'm feeling uncomfortable, I quietly back out. I stopped doing a show, or I don't make a big fuss. I act a bit stupid, like I didn't get it, and I'm out. But I really suffered in Superstar in the second year. I really did, because I wasn't willing to do that, whether it was with what I had to wear and what I had to put up with in dress rehearsals. I was like crying in the dressing rooms.
And yet when the show aired and everybody saw you, and it was so popular, and I think it cemented your name in terms of TV, Arabic TV. People saw a completely polished, carefree sort of image. And it's so courageous of you to revisit that and say, you may have seen that and seen me as this glamorous center of a talent show, which was one of the first, wasn't it, in the Arab world? Yeah. And to have a woman presenter and all that. But behind the scenes, there was a lot going on.
Yeah, and nothing in comparison to what was going on in other places with other artists. I heard the stories and I was like horrified. What was also disturbing for me was watching the effect of instant stardom to the contestants, on the contestants. Oh, wow. I could see how bad actually it was rather than good for them. I could see how people were idolizing them in the audience when they were singing on stage, but then they'd be kicked out the next week and they'd sit amongst the audience and nobody would talk to them and not bother with them. They'd just be interested.
It's
the same human being. Wow. So I could see really what stardom can do.
You're not afraid, Rania, to talk about these issues. You're not afraid of
no, I think people are speaking up more nowadays. And what do I have to lose? It's not like I am in a job that someone's going to get rid of me. I pretty much produce my own things in I don't know, I manage to somehow. It's not like I have a job to lose. Even when I took a stab at Sasha Abi Najmi as a singer, if I was a singer full time and that's all I did, I know that could ruin my career and that I'd be in a mess if I said that about other singers. But as I'm not continuously doing that, I had 2 albums and I stopped because I didn't like the atmosphere of that either. Because in the Arab world, we don't have copyrights pretty much. So we do not make our money from our music and our albums. We make it from sleazy private parties. And that is all it is about. Yeah. And when I discovered that, I wasn't willing to do it. So I had the albums, but I couldn't go further with that. Yeah. So unfortunately, many things that I did do, I realized, this is a dead end road again.
But they weren't dead ends, were they, Rania? Because now they're going to function as part of the show that you're going to do.
Yes.
And so these seemingly dead ends actually were part of the journey.
Yes.
Habibti, I want to turn to something that's going to come out soon, inshallah. And, I'm always saying what's next for Rania Kurdi. Now we're talking about a Jordanian film, a new Jordanian film. Can you give us a little
I'm really looking forward to that because tell us. It was a beautiful experience doing this Jordanian film. And it's not often that a film and a cast and a story comes across, comes my way that I will like. And actually she's this is her debut feature film, the director. Her name's Hanadi Alayan, and she's a graduate of UCLA. Actually, she went there on a scholarship. So she's already done a lot of TV work in Dubai. But, she went back and did film school. And so
this was filmed in Jordan?
So it was filmed in Jordan with a very well-renowned actress called Juliette Awad, who usually does Bedouin stuff. So it was so nice to see her as a funny woman in a modern movie. And the way the chemistry happened between me and her, we were improvising extra stuff or changing the way we would say the line made it, completely have a different new life that Hanadi was really happy with. And it's a story of 3 women from 3 different generations. So I'm the middle one, and we have Samira Al-Asir, who's half British, half Jordanian, play the younger female lead, and Juliette is the older. And it's interesting because Juliette is very traditional and very Jordanian. Well, she's Armenian, actually, by origin. And she's one of the first female actresses to have gone and studied in Russia drama and have a career. And she's married to an actor. She's really lived the life of an actress properly and struggled here with all the issues. And then I kind of come in the middle, with my experiences, and I'm half British, and the opportunities I had to go to drama school, whatever, are different. And then meeting a younger version of me, Samira.
Who's half
British.
Yeah, she's half British, but she's a much different kind of from this generation, tattoos, has a husband with dreadlocks, who's a tattoo artist.
I'm loving this. All three generations are in one film. Is it called
nice.
Beit Salma?
Yeah, at the moment, but it might change.
Might change.
Yeah,
and
because we're all fighting over Beit Salma, basically. It's left in an inheritance.
Sounds amazing. It's a long feature, we should mention. This is not a short film. And it's already wrapped up, so now it's just a matter of
Yes, so it should be the beginning of this year after it's been around festivals. So hopefully people can see it in different parts of the world, and maybe it's going to be a Netflix movie as well. Wow. And I play a social influencer, so I love the part. She's a real Ammani social influencer who learns a hard lesson and then becomes real. So it's kind of the same message that I like talking about, and I got to play it. Yeah.
So we have that to look forward to in 2020, and of course the One Woman Show, which I hope you continue working on and keeping us updated about, because I do think, Rania, without embarrassing you, that you are in the stage where you are going to be able to not only liberate yourself but liberate others of,
I really hope so.
Of things that have gone silenced for way too long.
And I'm planning a podcast soon as well.
Tell me about that.
Yeah.
Is it
I got jealous of you.
Well,
it's going to have two sides to it: a holistic one talking about mental health and the tools that we can have to help ourselves. And so I'll read lots of excerpts out of books that I've found really beneficial. And then I'll also interview creatives of all kinds to talk about their journey and how they keep some kind of holistic lifestyle. What is it that helps them find balance and health having a creative career? Because usually we are the more sensitive people that end up being creatives. And then it's in a career that actually you have to be struggling and rejected in the whole time. So I think that's even harder.
Yeah. Rania Kurdi, talking to you, really, we say in Arabic, بِرِدْ الروح. You remind us that nothing is impossible. Your courage is really inspirational. Will you please keep us updated about your travels?
Definitely, Ramzi. I always enjoy doing your podcast so much.
Thank you, Rania.
It's a thrill for me.
Thank you, Habibi.
Thank you.
This is Ramzi Salti with KZSU Stanford 90.1 FM.